trapping video. This is just going to be trapping for beginners, trapping 101. We're not going to be setting any traps or checking any traps. This is just going to be how to get you started with trapping. So there's going to be 4 steps to this. Step 1 is going to be to decide what you're trapping for. So if you're trapping for things like coon, fox, coyotes, bobcats if you're lucky, and maybe fisher. That's all we really trap for, and minks. But to start, you'll probably start with something easy like a raccoon, because raccoons are dumb and they're easy to catch, and there's millions of them. So there's various sets you'll be making to catch various animals. Water sets, which that's basically just a trap you set next to a water source. That will be for things like raccoons, possums, mink, things that use a creek or a stream quite often to catch their food or whatnot. The second trap set that you'll be making is on a trail. So I came up right here to this animal trail. You can see it's pretty clear. It starts up in the woods, and you can see it runs right along. The animal has the trail beat down quite a bit, and it runs all the way along down to the creek bed there. So that is a trail set you'll be setting your traps on. The third is a dirt hole set, which a dirt hole set would be when you have something like this tree here as you're backing. You want to force your animal into this little funnel here. You'll dig your hole right in front, right about in here. That's where you'll dig your hole, set your trap, X amount of inches down, whatever you're trapping for. Your bait will go in a separate hole right before the tree, so your animal would be forced to take a step onto your trap to try to get into the bait. You'll set a trap like that for something like a fox or a coyote or a bobcat. Something that's looking for meat, something that's smarter, that's not just going to waltz along and step on your trap like a raccoon will. And the fourth trap we'll show you is a snare, which a snare is also used on a trail. It's also a trail set where a snare would hang from, say, this tree right here, and it'll have a little loop here, so when your animal runs through, it gets its head caught in the snare, and it gets tugged when it tries getting free, and it'll be sitting there waiting for you. So that's step 1. Alright, so step 2, after you decided what you're trapping for, is going to be setting on sight. So setting on sight looks a lot like looking for your trails, finding where your animals are going to be, looking for tracks. Obviously won't be able to see anything now that it's early fall, all the leaves on the ground. But down on the creek, you'll be looking for animal tracks, their footprints. If you look for not only the animal that you're trapping for's tracks, but also their food source. So say you have you're trapping for a fox. You want to be looking for something that the fox would be hunting, so you look for squirrel tracks or rabbit tracks. Where the prey animal is going to be oftentimes is where your predator is also going to be. So you'll be looking for where they're going to be, where their prey is going to be, where they're coming from, where they're going to. Do a little studying before you go out and set your traps. You can't just set your traps that day and be like, okay, I'm ready to go. This takes a couple weeks in advance, figuring out where the animals are at, where they're going to be, and that pretty much rounds out step 2. Alright, so step 3, we're going to be covering our equipment. So that's things like our traps themselves, the sifter, the shovel, things you're going to be using to actually make the set. So we'll jump right into it. We'll cover the traps first. So at J-Herd Outdoors we use 4 traps mainly. The first being a dog-proof trap. This trap is used probably the second least out of all our traps, just because this is really only good for something like a raccoon, because the animal has to be able to stick its paw inside the cylinder here, and it pushes a little lever. There it goes. There's a little lever inside. It looks like a cross. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. See it wiggling there on the inside. It's pretty dark, so you probably won't be able to see that. But anyhow, there's a little little cross lever in there. The animal either pushes down or pulls up on it, which sets off the trap. This right here it will fly back, it'll go bang, and it'll catch their leg, and that's how the animal will be sitting. Like I said, this is really only good for raccoons. We usually don't set this unless trapping season's going poorly and we just want to get some fur on our table, so we'll catch some coons. The second trap is a body gripping trap. This is a big trap. The dog proof, as well as the other two traps I'll show you after this, do not dispatch the animal themselves. This trap here does. Okay, this trap is going to be sitting on a trail, just like that. I'm not going to set it. It'll be sitting on a trail just like that. And when the animal comes through, it'll come through this big open square here, and they'll set off the trigger right here. This will be sitting upwards. It'll set these trigger off, which will essentially make the trap snap, and the animal will get caught inside, and it instantly kills it. It usually hits it in the back of the neck, which separates the spinal cord, and the animal is dispatched immediately. So that trap we use mainly for beavers or bigger animals you don't want to come across that are still alive. You want them dispatched so you don't have to, because beavers, they're pretty mean when you catch them, if you catch them alive. So the next trap is a snare. I still have these all bundled up. This is a brand new set. A snare trap, like we covered in step one, will be hanging from a tree or a branch or something, or an overpass on a trail set. And the snare will be hanging just right about here, the top half tied to the tree and the bottom half dangling. And when the animal comes running through, its head will get caught in the snare, and when it goes to run, the snare will cinch down and the animal will be caught there, and it just keeps fighting, so the snare doesn't loosen up and it doesn't have the ability to loosen it itself with its hands. So the animal will be sitting there with the snare wrapped around it, it'll be caught. We usually use snares for also beavers. I'm not really sure in Pennsylvania what else you can use a snare on. We only use it for beaver. So that's a snare. Trap 4, this is the most common trap. This is the one we set quite often. This is a coil trap. This one is a 4-coil. It's got the 2 coils here and 2 coils back here. Now this trap is one you'll use in a dirt hole set. You can also use it in a water set. What you do with it is you bury the trap, everything underground except for the actual grippers up top here. They will be sitting above the ground. I'm not going to set this one either. It's a little too cold for my hands liking. This will be set, the 2 teeth here will be sitting above ground, well, under your little barrier that you have on top of your trap. The animal will come running across, will step on the pan here, which will set the dog off. The dog will fire off once the pan's tripped, and the 2 teeth will come clamping shut. The animal will be sitting there waiting for you until you come to dispatch it. Like I said, with the 2 other, the dog proof and the snares, this trap does not dispatch the animal, it simply just holds its leg in place. You will rarely see blood, rarely see damage to the animal's leg, maybe a little fur damage, but these traps aren't meant to harm the animal. You're able to let the animal go as soon as you catch it with no harm done to the animal, other than the body gripper trap, which does dispatch the animal. This trap is used for animals like a raccoon, a dirt hole set, so fox, coyote, bobcat are all good animals to catch in one of these traps here. So that's all we have for traps. We'll move on to the other things you're going to need. To hold your trap in place, you can't just bury the trap, because the animal, once they get their leg caught, they will take off with it. I've had various dog-proof traps get taken by raccoons because they're a lot stronger than they look. I didn't have them staked down farther or far enough. So the next thing you're going to need is your stake. This is smaller just for reference. You typically want a piece of rebar, something 18 inches or more. Now with the stake, you will take it through your loop here at the very end. You'll bury this. This will be buried underground as well. This will be at least 4 inches below the stake. The stake will be at least 4 inches below the trap. You'll pound it into the ground as far as it can go. Sometimes you'll cross stake it, which means you'll have one stake going this way and one going this way, make an X, make it harder for the animal to pull out. But to keep this little stake in place, you're going to want to weld a washer or a nut or something on top. That way the little tab here can't get pulled over top of the stake. That's why it's best to have a piece of rebar with a nut welded on top. That thing won't go anywhere. But just for demonstration purposes, we have this little stake from Home Depot, and you can just buy a pack of washers and just string it over top here, and it does its job. This, you can get away with something like this for raccoon. I wouldn't try it with a fox or a coyote because they're a lot more wild. They would definitely want to get out, so they'll pull a lot harder than a raccoon. But so you need your stake to stake it down. You're gonna need a shovel. I don't have a shovel with me. You need a shovel to dig your dirt hole sets and whatnot. But next you're gonna need a pan cover, which we use a wax pan cover, which is good in the rain. You can see it's raining now. The rain just beads up. You want something that's not gonna rust the pan, because the pan will really be the only thing exposed to the weather, because everything else will be so far underground. But you want something like this, just a pan cover. This is just a wax pan cover. You can just use wax paper if you want, just cut it up into sections. But this works perfect. You just set it over top of the pan, and you'll set it over top of the teeth here, so nothing rusts, no weather gets in it, no leaves get underneath it. Sometimes if you get a handful of leaves underneath your pan, the dog won't trip because it just thinks it's the pan sitting there. You got so much debris built underneath it. So you need a pan cover. You're also gonna need tags for your trap. Well, you don't need these. These are recommended though. If you trap public land or somewhere you know other people trap, you need identification tags for your trap so people don't go and steal them. Not saying these prevent any sort of thieves from taking them, because I've had various traps get stolen with identification tags on them still. So they come with a little ID tag, which you can just wrap tape on there with your name or whatever on that. And then it comes with little pieces of copper to tie it around your trap. But those aren't must-haves, those are just nice-to-haves. The last thing you're going to need is a sifter. This is just a dirt sifter. You can buy them cheap, or you can build one yourself. With the sifter, all you're going to use it for is when you're digging your hole, you're just going to set the dirt that you dug the hole out of into the sifter. Once your trap's set, you'll sift the dirt back on top of your trap to make it look more natural, to try to blend in with the surrounding environment. That way the animal isn't spooked by a big mess you've made. So that is your equipment. We'll move on to step 4 next. Alright, so step 4 is going to be your baits and your lures. How you're going to entice the animal to come to you and step on your trap. So most of these are really only good for hole sets or something on a trail, something to get it to step over top and land on your trap. You'll have different types of baits and lures for each animal. We'll start off with raccoon. Raccoon, they eat anything, everything out of your garbage as well. But what I have the most success with is a sweet sort of bait. This is a smear from CoonCreekTrappers.com. You can check them out later. But all that is, it's got all edible stuff to humans. It doesn't taste that great. It's got like molasses and grain, sweet things in there to try to intrigue the raccoon to come and nibble on your bait and then get trapped. Marshmallows in a dog-proof trap and dog food in a dog-proof trap will also get a raccoon to come check it out. They like a little bit of anything. Also, I'll buy a bunch of cans of sardines when they're on cheap, or mackerel, clams, whatever. When they're cheap, it stinks. So when you have a water set, a raccoon, they smell that nasty rotten meat and they go right after it. They think it's a free meal and they'll go down and just devour sardines and things like that. And it's a real easy way to catch a raccoon. It's pretty much foolproof. But for predators, you need more of a meaty smell, because a fox or a coyote isn't going to go raiding through your garbage. They want something meaty, something that's going to fill them up, that's going to put fat on them so they're not as cold in the winter. So also from CoonCreekTrappers.com, you can buy this predator bait called Top Dog. Right here it says excellent for fox, coyote, and bobcat, and it is. We've caught many fox and coyotes with this. No bobcat yet, but they're coming. but this has a real meaty smell. So you can open up here so you can take a look at it. Yeah, you can see there's chunks of meat floating in there. It's pretty nasty smelling too. It smells like rotten meat, because it is, but the animals like it. It gets them to come right after it. This is great in a dirt hole set. You dig it a little bit right up behind your trap, in front of your backing, and the fox and the coyote come running to this. So that's your baits. Lures wise, you're going to be using things like different gland lures and urines. With me, I have fox urine and raccoon urine. The raccoon urine is synthetic. It doesn't really work, but if you've got like a couple extra bucks that you want to drop on something to test it out. We've caught a couple raccoons with it, but it's not that great. You just take it. It's got a little nozzle here to spray. You just spray it next to your trap to get a big bull raccoon coming and to step on your trap. But we have red fox urine, which that works pretty well for coyotes rather than red fox, as the coyote, they're a more dominant animal. So if they know a red fox has been around, they know that there's prey around, so they'll come to the red fox urine smell, and they'll come, devour whatever bait you have in your hole. Other things I don't have with me, bobcat urine is very good. It's very small, or very strong, pungent smell. The animals come running to it. It stinks, and the predators like coyotes and fox, they love that. Also, male bobcats will come to that. We have a couple on our trail cams. We just couldn't get them to step on our trap. And lastly is fish oil. Like I said with the raccoon, the sardines and stuff, they stink pretty bad. So does the fish oil. So you take your fish oil down with a water set, and the raccoons come running to it. It stinks pretty bad. But that's all I have for you for the 4 steps of Trapping 101. We'll make more personalized videos on each individual trap, how to set each individual trap, and actually catching the animals on a later date. We won't actually start trapping until deer season's over, so we have a couple more weeks until we set our traps. But that's all I have for you for this video. So thank you for checking us out. Check out our new Facebook page. The link is on our channel. Continue to watch, like, and convince people to subscribe to our channel. And thank you very much for watching.